Welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. Look, my friends, for the past 2 weeks, we've been hearing nothing except tariffs and the effects that they're going to have on the American people. The effects, of course, being different depending upon which news source that you listen to. And this chaos has created nothing but stress, confusion, anxiety, and every adjective in the book. It's why I tell you, subscribe here, watch, comment. I want your comments and share with your friends, because this stuff is going to continue for at least the next 2 years, most probably 4. So even like yesterday, when we spoke about the tariffs yesterday, we were all just waiting to see, anxiously, of course, what happened with Canada, because we already know what happened with Mexico. So yesterday afternoon, Prime Minister Trudeau and Trump spoke, and not surprisingly, like as happened with President Sheinbaum, they reached a deal. Now, before we let the anxiety, the chaos, the stress dissipate, I think it's important that we unpack this deal, because there are things that the Trump administration, they're just not explaining. They just don't want you actually to know what's really going on. And I want to start with a clip on CNN of Caitlin Collins explaining the deal. Play the clip.
Now we've just gotten this announcement from Trudeau himself, who I should note got out ahead of the White House in this. He said he had a good call with Trump. He said that Canada is going to be implementing a $1.3 billion border plan where they talk about reinforcing the border. I should note that's actually something that Trudeau announced and Canada announced back in December, about mid-December. But also in this announcement, Jake, he says that they are going to have frontline personnel working and protecting the border after concerns about fentanyl coming across. And he said that they are going to be appointing a fentanyl czar, and that they will list cartels as terrorists and ensure 24/7 eyes on the border. I believe it is the fentanyl czar that is new here, but it's that last sentence, Jake, there at the end is the most important here. He says, proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days while we work together. That is the...
Yeah. So I can kind of visualize, just knowing Trump as well as I do, specifically what happened here. They got on a call. Trudeau, of course, again, congratulations. I mean, a fantastic first 2 weeks by you. Donald, what are you doing? All right. This tariff war, it doesn't make sense between your closest and your best trading partner. That's us, Canada. What's the issue here that you need in order to get a win? Because that's what this is all about. All right. The key point here is that Canada's border plan was already announced, as said by Caitlin Collins back in December. I mean, here's Bob Ray, Canada's representative to the UN, explaining this point. Nothing here is new. Play the clip.
Security goes down.
Clearly, the administration sees it as a movement today, with Mexico and Canada promising a lot that they weren't promising before.
Not true in our case. I mean, can only speak very directly on this. We've had candid conversations with the administration for a long time on what we felt we could do and what we felt needed to be done, not just for you, but also for us. And many of those expenditures were already announced by the Prime Minister many weeks ago. So,
see, this is again the problem. And it depends upon which news source that you're going to listen to. If you are an avid and an only Fox News watcher, you would think that Donald Trump created an entire new plan. Now, if you listen to CNN or MSNBC or ABC or NBC, you would think that Trump had absolutely nothing to do with it. Let's turn around and acknowledge that this plan, at least according to the Canada's UN ambassador, existed already. Trump may have added to it now that they're going to have a fentanyl czar, that they're going to declare, for example, the Mexican cartels as terrorist organizations. Okay, let's give him the win. It happened under his administration. Who gives a shit? The answer is nobody should. But this is not new. And that's the whole point. It's not either this side or that side. There is a middle ground here. Now, Caitlin Collins again later asks if this border deal was a tangible concession for Trump. Play the clip.
It's ravaged hometowns. Everyone understands the fentanyl crisis. But one, the amount of fentanyl that comes from Canada is nowhere near the scale of the southern border. A lot of it comes through legal ports of entry. But on this specifically, he called this off, saying that he had won concessions from both of them. But is there a tangible concession in your view?
Yeah, absolutely. He won the concessions, and part of it is it's a commitment from Trudeau that wasn't there to help with fentanyl, to help with the black market,
Well, he announced the plan
and to secure the border.
He announced that plan though 6 weeks ago, back in December.
Well, at least he's reiterated it and formalized it. And
Okay, he reiterated and he reformalized it. But again, this is the problem. You have to stay on Trump's message, otherwise you're out. And so they get tongue-tied. They don't know how to explain it. I mean, look at how pathetic Bret Baier looked when he was sitting there and explaining it earlier on Fox News. Now, remember that earlier in the day, before the deal was even announced, President Trump also made a joke, once again, about Canada becoming the 51st state. Play that clip.
Canada, when you talk to Justin Trudeau again, is there anything he can give you at 3 p.m. when you talk again to also secure a pause, like you said, with Mexico?
I don't know. We have big deficits with Canada, like we do with all countries. I mean, I look at some of the deals made, I say, who the hell made these deals are so bad? But with Canada, I have a talk with him, and you maybe know or maybe not. We're going to meet again or talk again at 3 o'clock, right after my next meeting. And we'll see what happens. I can't tell you what's going to happen.
You mentioned that he could agree to change your mind on the tariffs?
Well, we can always, but look, what I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars. I'd rather see Detroit or South Carolina or any one of our Tennessee, any one of our states build the cars. They could do it very easily. We don't need them for the cars. We don't need them for lumber. We don't need them for anything. We don't need them for energy. We have more energy than they do. We don't need them for energy. So I say, why are we doing this? Why are we willing to lose between $100 billion and $200 billion a year? We don't need them. As a state, it's different. As a state, it's much different. And there are no tariffs. So I'd love to see that, but some people say that would be a long shot. If people wanted to play the game right, it would be 100% certain that they'd become a state. But a lot of people don't like to play the game because they don't have a threshold of pain. And there would be some pain, but not a lot. The pain would be really there. So we're going to meet again by phone at 3 o'clock, and we'll let you know.
And yet, he struck a deal. He struck a deal simply because they said what? That they're going to invest $1.3 billion? That they're going to announce someone's going to be the fentanyl czar? Meanwhile, he also says that every single country we have trading deficits with. But yet the only one that he wants to annex right now is Canada. Something fishy there? Bob Ray also said, once again, that Canada would not become America's 51st state, despite what Trump keeps saying. Play that clip.
Why we're trying to have a reasonable and sensible discussion, and that's the kind of discussion
I appreciate
we'd like to have, and one that's respectful. And by the way, we're not the 51st state. We're a sovereign, independent country. Our leader deserves to be treated with respect, and we deserve to be treated with respect, and that's the way we want to proceed.
Yeah. And you can't disagree with that, right? Now, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, let's not forget, the DEI hire of Trump, continued to spread deception by highlighting all of this Trump wins. Play the clip.
There is so much good news, so much winning out of the Trump White House right now that the mainstream legacy media can't keep up with it because President Trump is signing executive order after executive order, delivering on promise after promise, and implementing fundamental change of our bloated bureaucracy and our corrupt government here in Washington, D.C. He was given.
Once again, you got to give her credit. Right? I mean, you really do. You got to give her credit based upon her youth and her inexperience to be able to continue to spread this deception at the level that she's doing takes talent. Now, Catherine Rampell, made a really interesting point that President Trump and his team, that they're repackaging the status quo. Play the clip.
It's the uncertainty in the chaos.
First of all,
it's Trump
is trying to repackage the status quo as a victory. That's what the leaders of these foreign countries are learning. You don't actually have to give Trump anything. You
just have to make it seem like
you have to let him announce victory on TV. Second of all, it's not actually back to the status quo. It is worse than the status quo. As Richard points out, we have tarnished our relationships with our allies whose help we need to rein in China, which I know you care about. Beyond that, think about the additional uncertainty that's being added to the business environment right now. If you are a company and you don't know if tariffs are coming or they're not coming, you don't know if your input costs are going to go up or they're not going to go up,
That's true.
Why would you invest? Why would you invest in oil pipelines, for example, to Canada? I know you really care about the Keystone Pipeline, for example.
I mean, the one that Biden killed.
Yeah,
you know that would be the oil coming from Canada, which Trump is now threatening to tariff.
But
why would any
we have a deal.
We have a 30-day deal for nothing.
You guys right.
Yeah. Again, depends upon which perspective that you want. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, there's a deal. Do I care that the status quo has just been renegotiated, even though it's exactly the same as what was announced in December or 6 months before even that? No. Because at the end of the day, tariffs are now on hold for another 30 days because Trump is going to do the same thing over and over again, the same thing that happened in 2017. Now, lastly, in the theme of President Trump taking credit for things that have already happened, Caitlin Collins goes ahead and she points out that Mexico had already sent troops to the border, despite President Trump making it seem that it was his deal yesterday with President Sheinbaum of Mexico and casting it as some major win. Play that clip.
They've agreed to put in 10,000 soldiers permanently, like forever, 10,000 soldiers at their side of the border and stop fentanyl and illegal aliens from coming into our country.
According to Mexico's defense ministry, there are already 15,000 troops nearly there on the border. It's a deployment that started in 2019.
Whatever. If we can stop the flow of fentanyl into America, President Trump, I salute you. If at the same point in time we stop migration, unlawful migration into this country, once again, I salute you. But if in fact it's just basically the status quo all over and nothing is really changing, it's the same, say 14,451 troops that are there at the southern border doing whatever the hell it is that they're doing, considering with almost 15,000 troops there, we still have a problem. I don't know. Maybe Trump has to speak to President Sheinbaum again and say, you're going to have to do something a little bit more proactive than just stand guard, because your guards seem to be doing nothing. And it's why I turn around and I said it earlier on, the angst, the anxiety, the stress that all this shit is creating. None of this should even be in the public view at this moment until it ultimately becomes a policy. It is not. These are 1 month threats in order to stop tariffs today. And again, it's depending upon which news source that you listen to, depends upon the perspective that you're going to get, but not here. Not here. You're going to get both sides, but you're going to get facts and reality. So again, subscribe, watch, comment, and share with your friends so that you too will be in the know. And as always, thanks for listening.
Hey everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. I mean, we're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.